All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Scott Oots, and today is going to be a fun day. We have a close friend of mine, Don Costa, in the group with us. And you guys might know Don Costa from just a tiny little podcast he does called Flip Talk. You may have heard of him. Really happy to have him here. I got to know Don probably about, a year ago now, Don?
Right, almost 2 years ago, actually.
Has it been 2? Jeez. So Don and I have become real good friends during this time, and I really appreciate his friendship, and I appreciate you being here with me.
Oh man, I appreciate being here, and look forward to the conversation today. So we just recently had quite a few conversations, so I think this will be fun.
So what Don's talking about, we actually just came back from Scottsdale. We were there last week for a mastermind that we're in together, just about 40 entrepreneurs in the real estate space. We get together 3 times a year and we talk about real estate and what's working in our businesses, what's not. And honestly, I think it was one of the best meetings we had because we talked about something that happened this year, obviously COVID. And I was actually really surprised to see that it did have an impact on people's businesses, but not as much as I thought it was going to. So I thought that was pretty exciting to see that, we still have a group that's going strong and they're still pushing forward. But, we have a few days of just sitting in a meeting room, really learning, asking questions, helping each other through things in a mastermind format. And then at night we go out and grab some drinks and keep going until we get tired and go to sleep. And that's pretty much it. Then we get up and do it again. But Don's familiar with the mastermind format. He has his own mastermind, and this is a very successful mastermind. So if you have seen a video that I did on, hope I got some stuff popping on my screen here. If you guys have seen a video I did on masterminds and which ones I recommend, this is the man right here. This is the guy that I recommended. So you guys gotta check him out. You wanna tell people quick kind of what your mastermind is?
Yeah, so Inner Circle Elite is the mastermind, and beinthisroom.com is the place you go to apply to see if it's a fit for you, and obviously if you're a fit for us. And we're just putting a group of good people together to have a conversation about business and how to make business better and how, to run a better business. A lot of people will get together and they'll pound their chest and they'll talk about, gross this and crazy stuff, right? And what I love about our group, for instance, we met this last weekend, and the same with the mastermind that I run, is it's about getting real. There were a lot of people in there saying, this is what I'm struggling with. This is where I'm winning, but this is where I'm struggling. And that's what a mastermind should be about, helping each other, teaching each other, helping each other grow, having each other's back, bouncing ideas off each other, bonding in a way, strategizing, doing deals together. And that's what we really work hard to bring to the table in the Inner Circle Elite. Our last meeting, we actually had everybody do 90-day action plans. We sat down, we dissected everybody's 90-day action plan and gave advice. And it was really probably one of the better meetings that we've had in doing that, because we were able to establish where people's, goals and their strategy didn't align. We're able to adjust the strategy so they can meet their goals. And then we rented an Airbnb and had a good time. We found that that's the model we're going to stay with, is we're going to rent these Airbnbs and have food brought in and, just mastermind and talk and have fun. And I love them. You can be, whether it's this mastermind or any mastermind, you need to be part of a mastermind community, because I can tell you, I can track every bit of my success to the people that I've met in masterminds.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't say that any better, man. My business grew so much after that first mastermind meeting. And I'll be honest, and you probably felt the same way. The first one I walked in going, oh my God, I have to be the dumbest guy here, thinking everyone else knew what they were doing and they all had their shit figured out. And here I was walking in not knowing anything. And then I started realizing as I got to know these guys, it was crazy. I'm like, man, they're around the same level I am. And I didn't feel so out of place anymore. And these guys are half of our mastermind that we're in together are these people that I originally walked in with. You got Joe Taylor, Nathan Price, a lot of these people that are in there are people that we started day one with in these other masterminds. And it's just exciting. It's exciting. And yes, you need to be in a mastermind. So there may be some people that obviously don't know you. So, they're looking at you like, oh my gosh, this guy must have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right? We have a celebrity here. So tell people a little about yourself, right? So you got a family at home. So, you're an ordinary person. What's your family like?
I have a wife and I have 3 kids. I have 2 teenage boys that are 15 months apart, and I have a 6-year-old girl, and they are, my life. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur born and bred. I don't have many hobbies. My hobby is building businesses. I love building business. I love coaching people. I love putting out content. Those are the things that I get passionate about. Golfing, I'll do, but I really get passionate about my business, right? And so it's my business and my family. And that's really my balance. Whenever I'm not doing something on the business side, I'm at the beach with my family, camping with my family, traveling with my family, doing something with my family. They're my whole world and the reason why I do everything I do.
So since you are traveling more for business and you're traveling for your mastermind, meeting me at masterminds around the country, going to events, I feel like you must have a private jet by now, but at this point, how did you adjust and how did your family adjust to you being gone so much doing this? Because I know a lot of people are struggling. They say, hey, I want to go to an event, but I don't want to leave my family. How did that work for you?
Part of the reason why it works for me is because when I am engaged with my family, I'm engaged with my family. And so if I go camping, my phone gets stuck in the cabin and we glamp, but and we go do our stuff, and I don't pay attention to my business. I have my team pay attention to my business. I truly delegate. If you notice at the mastermind, this weekend, I took a couple of calls, but for the most part, I was engaged in the meetings. So I try to run my business that way. If I'm at meetings, I try to stay engaged. With my family, I try to stay engaged and make those things a priority so that when I'm doing the other thing, that thing can be a priority. So that balance, I think, is important. So many of us will try to do 1,000 things at once, or we'll be at home with our family on the phones. I literally don't, I have purposely set my home life up where it is impossible for me to work from home. Literally, if I was to work from home, it takes more effort for me to open up, a computer and do that, than it would be here at the office. So I've done that on purpose. I put these little roadblocks in so that when I'm at home, I'm at home. And that allows my family to be a little more forgiving when I'm going to go away on these trips. And I explain to them too. I also frame it in the matter of, I'm doing things for us, our future. My sons are at an age now where they want to be part of what dad's doing. My older son who's 16 is probably going to start coming to some of these things with me because he really is wanting to learn and engage. And so, I've kind of opened the door to bringing my family into involvement as well. So it's balance. I mean, really, I think where people struggle is that, they don't know how to let go and they don't know how to find balance.
Mm-hmm. There's one person I know we both know that has said it well, and that's our buddy Haim. So Haim is the virtual wholesaler guy, if you guys look him up. But Haim said something probably 4 years ago to me, and he said, Scott, collect memories, not things. Right. And that is just that sat with me, right? And Haim is such a family guy. We'll have our meetings Thursday, Friday, and Friday midday, he's like, I gotta go. I don't spend weekends out. Friday or Saturday, Sunday are my time with my family, and I will be there. And I've always respected that so much for what he does. And like you saying, you take your family camping and you do things like that, it's admirable because you're able to balance everything that you're doing in a mastermind and event setting and still be able to be there for people that want to watch your podcast and do things, but you're also able to be home and separate yourself. And I'm the same way, man. Working at home, honestly, I'll be honest, it's a pain in the ass, but I have made it that way because I don't want to go home and start working. I'd rather stay at the office 30 minutes longer if I need to, then drive home and turn it off. Now, there's those phone calls. Those phone calls come in, and if my team calls me in the evening, I'm going to pick up. Now, the reason I'm going to do that, probably like you, is because if they're calling me outside of work hours, there's something I need to know that is not going to wait till 9 o'clock. And most likely that's going to involve me losing money. So at that point, I'm like, all right, I don't care if I'm sitting at dinner. I am going to get up and take this phone call because there's something so pressing that employee said, they're going to take time away from their family to make a phone call to me. And that right there says, all right, this is either a money-losing phone call or a situation I got to fix right now. So it's always good to separate those things. So tell us how long, when did you start your business? And so how long have you been now?
So I have 2 lives in this industry, and I'll give a high level just so people understand. I started in 2003, door knocking, pre-foreclosures, made a lot of money, became a douchebag, and thought everything I touched turned to gold, and then proceeded from 2008 to about 2010, 11 to lose everything and really get humbled and schooled and understand that I was a bad leader, a bad human being, and I didn't run a real business. And so 2012, without choices and $1 million judgment against me, I started back up and did my first deal June of 2012 as a rehab and sold it in September 2012, made 20 grand, had to split it with the investor on that project. So, but I was back in business. So since 2012, second round, I've been an operator and I guess a business owner in the real estate investing arena. So it's 8 years now, and running a real business, systems, processes, the right team, not being a bottleneck, getting out of the way, thinking outside the box, just running a real business.
Fair enough. So basically you lost everything. So crash hit, just everything.
Yeah. So, and part of it was just because I was, like I said, I thought I had the Midas touch. I opened a restaurant, nightclub. I had a property management company, a mortgage company, a real estate company. I had multiple offices. I was trying to start a sunglass line. I mean, just the money was going out as fast as it was coming in. I thought it was never going to end. And by the time the dust settled, I just did a talk on Saturday. I talked at a virtual event where I actually showed the snapshot of the judgment. I was in September of 2010. I got a $677,000 judgment against me that by 2012, when I started back in this business with attorneys' fees and interest, was just shy of $1 million. And so anybody out there who's listening that thinks they're in a hole right now, or it's hard to start, try starting with $1 million judgment against you. I overcame it though. And it's just testament to what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And there is nothing that can stop me now because of what I went through. I'm a better husband, better father, better human being, better business owner because of it. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's great, man. I'm sorry to hear you went through it, but it's that learning lesson, right? And I've heard so many people that it's just they open business after business after business after business, but they don't take the time to make those businesses successful. And I mean, you went a completely different direction. You said, I'm going to do real estate. I'm going to do a club. You didn't even stay in the same realm of any sort. But I also applaud that because, if you do have an issue with market or something, a lot of my businesses are real estate focused. And as we experience some type of downturn, it's not, if, it's when. When that happens, it's going to definitely take a toll on some of my businesses. And that's why I almost look at COVID as like a test run for a down market. Because we literally went to bed one night knowing something was going on, but then literally the next day it's like lockdown. And we're just like, oh crap. And it's just like my leads team's phone stopped ringing that day, but my dispo guy's phone was just blowing up. And you know why? Buyers are calling saying, market's gonna tank, man. I gotta back out, keep my EMD. I don't even care right now. I just can't do this. And then boom, he's got 2 more voicemails from more buyers and we're just like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? So it's crazy to see how quick that shifts. And, so just so you guys know, Don, I tell this story all the time, man. And Don laughs at me, he knows what it is. Don is the person I call. He's my guy that I call. And we talk about business all the time, and when my dispo's phone's ringing like that, I was like, shit, who do I know that's been through this? Hey, Don, so we going down, economy gonna completely tank today? Stock market tanking, everything's over, we're all gonna lose our houses, is that what's going on? Don's like, oh, no. Dude, just calm down. He put me in my place, slapped me around a little bit. 2 weeks later, so what do you think's gonna happen, Don? Oh man, it's worse than I thought. Worse than I thought, man. Did I not call you and tell you? No, Don, you forgot that detail.
Well, you know, granted, my advice at that point was, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Just get your house in order. And that was really the conversation was, we don't know at this point, and let's get our house in order. And a lot of us did that. And then fundamentally, I mean, for whatever reason, the market's on fire and it makes zero sense that should have tanked. And, but we're going to ride this wave and we're still going to prepare for the worst and hope for the best and just make sure our house is in order.
Yeah, I would say that probably a lot of investors that made it through that COVID, a lot of them are probably putting a little more money in savings after that point, because you never know what's going to happen. But I mean, the market's so hot right now. There's a fine balance between putting it all through your business, paying taxes, and then also having money in savings, or putting it through like an IRA, and then you don't get the money personally. I mean, there's that fine balance between those things, right? And at this point, I'd rather pay some taxes and get some money in my savings account, business savings account. That way, if something like this happens again, we work through it. Like, luckily, my business had savings. And we started chipping away at every one of those buyers and started recovering them. And we came out of that good. But a lot of investors didn't. And you know what I saw during this time, and tell me if I'm wrong. I saw a lot of new coaches pop up, a lot of new courses coming out, a lot of new advertising on how great people are and how they do so many deals. But I also saw a lot of businesses tank. So I happen to see a lot of new people shift to coaching. Did you see that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of coaches too that had been probably quiet for a little bit that jumped on the virtual bandwagon, and I think that was really where a lot of people in the coaching side of things saw their opportunity, and we definitely saw a lot of ads, and I saw a lot of people shift as well. So I'm not going to. I want to be careful with my words here, but the there look. I think that regardless if the market's good or bad, there are a lot of people that are half successful in real estate that decide they're going to be a coach to augment, or to find success. And those are usually the wrong people to follow. The people that you want to follow are the people that have had some failures, some success, been in it for a while, that run a strong business, that are still doing the business, and they have some years of experience. I think that's the worst thing you can do is follow somebody that they always talk about that's like one step ahead of you, doesn't know that one thing they're going to do is going to get them sued because they have no life experience, right? Find a coach who has some experience in the game's been around for a little while, and I think that's my takeaway from what I saw, even pre-COVID. With there was a guy out there that was advertising that he was going to be like the best coach ever. He's not even, I don't think he's around anymore. And when we dug into it, he'd done like 12 flips. And it's like you don't even have enough experience to know what's going to go wrong.
You know what's crazy though is, so you've heard of the phrase, what you don't know, right?
Right.
So getting into this, people see somebody pop up and they're like, oh, I've done hundreds of deals. I mean, really, they don't have a way to verify that, and that's what's crazy. I know one guy, he's out there driving a Lambo, and he's over on the East Coast, and he does not do deals, but he sells a lot of coaching. And I'm not mentioning any names, but he's got a following, not a huge following, but he's got enough to sell coaching. And when you look at that, I mean, it's crazy to see what somebody can do. They can start posting pictures of fancy cars. They can start doing things like that. And then next thing you know, they've got people following them because he has what they want, or he has what they think they want, but they don't have a way of verifying that. Does he own that? Did he rent that car? I mean, it is, it's really hard for newer people to verify that. They only see what's on Instagram. And I feel like Instagram, Facebook, all that social media stuff, it just puts on almost a persona, right? You know how they like fact check everything the president says and they seem to say it's false? I feel like what they need to do with real estate investors is right below their post, they need to go, this has been fact checked and this is bullshit. So,
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be awesome. I'm be honest with you, I'm always like both sides of the fence on this. I'm torn because it's like early on in my real estate investing career and putting out a podcast, I was so afraid of being labeled a guru. I was so anti-guru because I just felt like gurus were a joke. And I met a lot of these guys who are really decent human beings. There are some coaches out there that have been around for a while that get labeled falsely as the bad gurus that really are good guys trying to do good things. You know, And then you got these people that have no business coaching. And like you said, how do you verify that? And, you know, should you be doing the business? Should you not be doing the business? You know, is always a question. You know, I know that the 49ers head coach does not play football, but he's really good at teaching fundamentals, and he's really good at motivating a team. So if you find somebody that you align with that can really build that confidence in you to take action and help you find your purpose and direction, then they're a good coach, right? And then fundamentally you just got to decide, do I want a good coach, or do I want a good coach that is doing the business? You know, what are my priorities past that? And I think everybody here that's listening to this has that responsibility to do their own due diligence and really look into that individual, into whether or not they're comfortable with what they're teaching, how they're teaching, and whether or not they're going to be able to get them there. If you're looking for somebody that's going to hand you a secret, push button, automated, here's where you get $5 million, it does not exist. There is all the content you need out there. So you don't even need another course. You can, between podcasts and YouTubes and stuff like this, you don't even need a course. What you need is somebody who can fundamentally get you the confidence and the strength to take action and to move forward towards your goals. That's really, find that person you align to that can really light that fire in your butt and guide you to where you need to be. And hopefully that makes sense. Somebody out there hears this. Buying coaching, I think if you invest in yourself, you're going to be that much more committed to what you're doing. Trying to find it for free, you know, everybody I've seen out there tries to get the coaching for free, usually doesn't follow through once they talk somebody into it. So, you know, but it's finding that person that you really align with that motivates you, I think, is a secret sauce.
You know, you actually bring up a really good point, because I think there's a lot of great tools out there, right? There's YouTube, there's things like that a lot of people can learn stuff from. And I think somebody that's joining a mastermind, in my opinion, should have already watched some of those videos, should have already practiced this a little bit, and should have already done a deal. And then they get into a mastermind to help grow where they're at. And then when you look at coaching, it's a really similar thing. If you don't go spend $50,000 on a coach when you don't even know what the business is. Now, learn the business. You take advantage of all those free things out there, because if you do that and then you learn where you're stuck, or you learn where it is that you need a little more assistance, now you're paying for a coach and you're specifically talking to that coach about the things that you need. So like, for example, somebody stands up in front of your mastermind and they say, "Hey Don, I'm here, haven't done anything, help me get started." You're gonna go, "Oh man, you are in the wrong room," right? 100%. But if somebody went up there and said, "Hey, you know, I am struggling on a few things, I've done one deal, I understand these things, but here's where I'm getting stuck. It's when the seller throws me an objection. Here is where I'm getting stuck." Now you're able to take that and mold that person based on what they're telling you. And that person is going to get such an advantage out of what they paid to be in that mastermind, versus the person that just threw the money out. And then 2 months later, they're going to come to you and say, "Hey, you haven't got my deal for me yet. I want my money back," right? They're just not going to go as far. And it's the same with one-on-one coaching and things like that. So many people send me messages, and I'm sure you get it. "Hey, I'll come work for your team for free. I just want to learn." And I have to say no to all those. And sometimes I'm like, man, I really like to help this person out. But you have to say no, because if someone's not truly invested in it, that's what they're going to put into it, right? Now you could get that one person that proves us all wrong out there. But if I'm going to spend time all day answering questions, coaching, what most people don't understand is that does take time away from my business as well. So I don't do much of that. And are you getting a lot of those questions as well?
Yeah, I do. I get a lot of those questions, and I'm probably one of the more patient people out there. I'll have lunch with people because I'm going to eat anyway, you know. But I'm not gonna bring you into my business and teach you for free, let you work for me for free, because again, that takes time away from what I'm doing in my business and my team's time. And you got to understand there's a value trade there. What are you really bringing to us to make that worth it to us? So, you know, if you reach out to me and you're going to be in the area and you ask me to go to lunch, pre-COVID, obviously, I probably would have done it. Now it's a little more impossible. But at the same time, if the whole conversation is what can I do for you, we're not gonna talk much. But yeah, no. Again, and you got to invest in yourself. You got to be willing to invest in yourself. You got to bring a value proposition. You know, if somebody brought you a deal or two, or maybe they had brought you 3 deals and they said, can can I intern with your team now? I provided value. That's a whole different conversation, right? And that's something you may consider. This guy's made me money. This gal's made me money. I may invest a little into them because maybe they might be a good team member for a while. So what can you do from a position of service when you approach somebody, I think is what you're getting out there that is important when you're going to ask somebody to help you. But ultimately, we're going to look at whether or not you're going to invest in yourself. I spent too many years trying to coach people for free, and it was just a waste of my time. I put free content out. I have a free podcast out. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to surround myself with people who take action, because really I want to do business with you. I want to do business with you. I want to see your success. I want to be proud of your success. And that's important to me as an individual. So, and then understanding the difference between a mastermind and a coaching program too are different. A mastermind is not a coaching program. A mastermind is a community that has your back. We're teaching each other. We're helping each other. A coaching program is a totally different ball game. And you got to decide which one of those is right for you as well. And we have a low level and a mid level coaching program as well, which is a whole different conversation.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because I did do coaching, right? I did the one-on-one, and let me tell you, I paid for it. Man, I paid for it. I paid a lot of money, but ultimately that did help really just rocket me forward. And at that point, that's when I said, man, if this is this good, a mastermind community has to be good. So that's when I joined the mastermind as well. So I've done both. So I know the difference between them. I think that there's value to both. And I think there's less and less one-on-one coaching out there now, and most of it has switched to more of a mastermind community in most cases. But I mean, they're still out there and people can still find those programs. But if we say, we always talk about getting the first deal, we always talk about things like that. That's what a lot of these things end up turning into. And I know people like to hear it and it gets repeated over and over again. But if you look at people out there right now and you say, hey, you guys are trying to get started, we're talking about masterminds, we're talking about coaching, but we got somebody out there that just can't afford that, right? What are you going to do? Where are you going to tell them to go to try to learn some of this information, to try to learn how to get that first deal?
Anything less than taking action is an excuse. There are so many free aspects out there. The Flip Talk podcast is 4 years old. It's a great tool. There are other podcasts out there. We have the Flip Talk Rookie Playbook, which was 49 episodes. We started with week 1. Where do you even start if you have a wild idea about real estate investing? We take you through 49 weeks. Both those are out there. YouTube, you have a great channel where you're teaching people. There's just networking and the real estate and the RIAs. I know it's a little harder right now during COVID. There are so many opportunities to learn. When I started, we had Carlton Sheets. We didn't have YouTube back in 2003. It was barely a thing. Facebook wasn't even a thing. It was MySpace, for God's sake. And I was still able to take action and do it with limited resources. So right now there's an abundance of information to start. If you don't have money, get on Google for dollars and start hunting for dilapidated houses and then go knock on those doors. Get a pre-foreclosure list and go start knocking on doors and figure it out. Even if you didn't have access to education, you could do it the way I did it, which is fail forward, right? I went out and I just started knocking on doors and I screwed up conversations and I went, okay, I don't need to say that. Next time I need to say this. And pretty soon I got my cadence and figured out how to talk to people, and I was closing deals like a crazy person. So, at the end of the day, it's about taking massive imperfect action. And there's so much information that you can almost have analysis paralysis. Massive imperfect action. Just go out there and start doing it.
Yeah, that's perfect. And, let me tell you, MySpace was pretty cool. I mean, we gotta say that was
for a minute, right?
Come on, that was way better than Facebook. You could actually do things to your pages. You get music going in the background. You spend all this time. I had no idea how to do any of that stuff, so I'd be trying to Google how do I put a background on my MySpace page, and come on, MySpace was pretty cool. And then we switched over to Facebook, and it all just looks the same. It's so boring. But most people now, they're even right now, they're listening to this and they say, what is MySpace? So, we just aged ourselves a little bit, but now things are growing even further, and the tools and resources out there are absolutely crazy for what people can do to learn things. And it is so cool to see, some of these people putting out content and trying to give back. And Flip Talk, I think, is really awesome to do. Steve Trang's got his Real Estate Disruptors. There's just such good content out there for people to follow. So some of the things that people always ask, obviously, is, you talk about door knocking, you talk about doing that. So if someone starts getting a little bit of money and they're ready to start doing some type of more paid marketing, where would you shift them to first?
Right now, in this day and age, I would say cold calling is the way to go first. If you want to do paid out of the gate cold calling, text messaging is a great resource, but we've all had those conversations. We don't know how much longer that's going to last. I'd hate to see somebody get invested in that and then have it get turned off. Cold calling is going to be around for a while. I'm a direct mail hawk. I love direct mail. I'm an advocate of it, but it can get spendy. It takes a minute to figure it out in your market. So, ultimately, just talking this out with you, cold calling is where I would give the advice. If a couple of years ago, my advice would have been different, but right now with COVID, the key to cold calling is good data, making sure you have a good data source originally, and that you're skip tracing it through good data, and that's where I would go. That's going to be, at the end of the day, the way it's starting to look for us is going to be our most profitable marketing channel this year.
Mm-hmm. And I'm on board with you as well. And when you look at this, you mentioned a few different things. Is pulling good data. So people are always trying to get the cheapest thing out there, but we've always heard you get what you pay for. It's kind of like remodeling a house, right? You may not go hire the cheapest contractor. You might hire someone in the middle. You don't necessarily have to hire the most expensive, but good data is so important. And most people don't look at how good it is, they just look at how cheap it is, and they want it so cheap. Here's the thing, if you don't start by pulling a good quality list, you're not gonna get anywhere with this, right? And you can get a bunch of addresses, so let's say you pull that quality list, but then you save the money on the skip tracing, you go with those 2 to 3 cent sources or whatever it is, you may not get the quality you need. Then you go and you market to this list after you spend all this money, but you didn't have good skip tracing or good data, and your response rate ends up really low. And that's actually a really expensive mistake to make, because you know how expensive direct mail is. You just said direct mail is expensive. You just said you love it though. But if you direct mail to a horrible list, your response rate's gonna suck, right?
Well, your response rate isn't always great when you mail to a great list, right? So if you mail to a horrible list, it's even worse. So, you can always squeeze, get lemonade out of lemons. We mailed what I was talking about this week. I mailed to a list that was a totally awful list, and I still got a couple deals from it. But, fundamentally the good data and spending the money on the data, making sure that it's fresh. There's only a few good places out there to get fresh data, list source being one of them. To buy initial data, and then of course, you have a great skip tracing platform. You have a great cold calling platform. I'm a customer, just so everybody knows, I'm a customer of Scott's cold calling platform, and I will tell you right now, I am very happy with the 6 figures I'm going to make this month off of his cold calling platform. That is not a bought and paid for endorsement. That is, it made me money endorsement, and I have one deal that I believe we're closing today, 50 grand. I closed it myself off of cold calling from you, and I'll get you the HUD on that so you can share that with your community. But
Kick me back on that.
What's that?
How much do you kick me back on that? I get a percentage, right?
I'm gonna give you a hug. So I'm gonna give you a hug. But anyway, the long and short of it is 100%. What you said is true. Spend the money on the skip tracing. Spend the money on the right team. But ultimately, at the end of the day, too, back end processes. If you're going to spend the money and do that, and then you get a lead and you wait, 3 days to call it back, or you don't have a good system to follow up on that lead and make sure you get that seller on the phone, you're throwing money away too. So make sure you're ironing out your systems and processes. One of the things I was just having a conversation earlier today, and one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they will assume a marketing channel doesn't work just because all their processes after the initial phone call are broken. And they're blaming the marketing channel, not looking in the mirror and saying, all right, well, what fundamentally has gone wrong in my process internally that's cost me the ability to get a deal from that marketing channel?
That actually brings up a good point. So we're talking about our processes after the initial marketing. What percentage of your deals come from follow-up?
Probably 80%.
Yeah, see, I'm around 60-some% as well. So
I think that determines like where you can calculate the follow-up to begin, right? What's follow-up and what's initial, right? And then we're probably right there in line with each other, as far as we're just calculating a little differently.
Yeah. So for everybody watching, let's just recap that real quick because it is so important. I know so many people that go out there and spend money on marketing. They get a lead in, the lead's not quite there yet, and they don't call the person again. And that to me is the number one biggest mistake any real estate investor can ever make, because let's just say we average out the two numbers we just said. We're looking at about a 70% of overall deals from two fairly large companies, that 70% of those deals come from follow-up. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. So when you look at that and say that those real estate investors that do not follow up, they're potentially losing a huge portion of their deals. They're potentially losing 70% of what they could have come in. And I know there's going to be the one person watching this says, well, if you just do better in the first part, in the first conversation, you can close them. All right, cut the shit. No, you can't close every single one of them on the first one. You will always have follow-up. And when you start looking at, how many salesmen actually follow up with a prospect, I mean, there's that chart. If you Google that out there, oh my gosh, like it's crazy. When you get to like the 10th follow-up, like barely anyone follows up with people. And my team is going to keep following up and following up and following up, because that prospect is going to know who we are. Now, we're not being pushy. We're pushing just enough, but we're making sure they know we're still there. So when they wake up in the morning and say, you know what, today's the day, I need to do this. Who's going to be the first company that pops in their head that they want to call and say, hey, I'm ready to get going? And that happens so often. I mean, I just heard it this morning on a phone call out here, because their phones are always on speaker out here. I just heard that. Oh, okay, so you're ready to get going? That's great. I can go ahead and send you over that DocuSign. And I mean, immediately, Monday morning, we're sitting here and we already potentially have a deal coming in, because we've been following up with this prospect for I don't know how long, but the fact that we've been continuing to follow up with them, it's getting us the deal. And that is just the one thing. Someone says, well, how do I follow up? Let me just make it very, very simple for people. If you tell the seller you will call them on a specific day at a specific time, you call them on that specific day at that specific time. I mean,
we call them sooner.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could, but you need to meet your commitment. You can be early, but don't be late.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
That's the thing, is people do that all the time.
Mm-hmm. We have follow-up to me is its own marketing channel. Its own independent marketing channel. We do the automated emails, the automated texts. We do the warm follow-up like you're talking about, where the lead manager who's had the initial call will follow up. The acquisitions people are staying in touch. We also treat it like a cold channel. We'll actually take the list and we'll throw it out and cold call it as well. And like we're a different company, we hit it from every angle. One of the things that, just what you said about somebody being ready to sell at a certain point and you being top of mind, is one of the reasons why you follow up. But there's another reason as well, especially in today's market, with the market being as hot as it is, ARVs are changing. And I can't tell you through the years how many properties I have bought because we stayed in contact with the seller and the seller's price didn't change, but the ARV did, and suddenly the deal worked. And there's been many of those 1 year later, 2 years later. Right now, we're cleaning the house on stuff where the seller's been hard and fast and not budging on their number. And we're calling up and saying, guess what we can do for you today? Your number now works. And that's another reason why you want to stay on follow-up. Having great notes, having a great CRM system. I mean, all that is very important, because, there's so many things that fundamentally change, not just on their end, but on your end. Maybe you found, you were, a year ago, you had a certain buyer pool that only wanted a certain kind of deal. And now you're working with a buyer that's super aggressive, like a landlord buyer or a hedge fund or something, right? And they're super aggressive. And now they can buy deals that you were turning away. And you can go through and you can follow up. I mean, fundamentally, the importance of that is not just when the seller is ready. There's so many layers to why follow-up is important, and having good notes and having a good process, because things change over time and suddenly deals that weren't deals become deals.
You know what I love about that though, is like when the seller says, I want 300,000, and they're set on it. The market increases, you call them back, Bob, I can give you 300,000. Oh, price now is 340. Damn it. All right, Bob, I'll try you again in 6 months. I love it when that happens. You're like, I can finally get to this guy's number, but you didn't realize as your offer was going up, his price was also going up at that point.
Which happens, but we still get them. We still get deals. So, and maybe, 300, 340 is a big jump. It might be a bad example. Maybe they're off. They now want 310 or 315, and that still works. because the market's hot, so it's follow up is so crucial. I would not be here if we didn't have a good follow up.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is the sellers want something in their head because their money's already spent. And, perfect example of what literally just happened to us. We locked a seller up in a contract, and then he said, I need more money. We're like, oh, well, we already have a contract. This guy literally we go visit him because he's ignoring our calls. Miraculously, he ignored our calls. We go visit the guy, and he hops on his bike and just rides away from us because he thinks we're ripping him off. Finally, we get in touch with this dude. After chasing him down on his bike, after basically sitting outside of his house and waiting for him to come home, after calling him for multiple numbers, he wanted $1,000 more. $1,000. Now, it's not like we thought, oh God, this guy must want $20,000 to $30,000 more. But he just ignored the situation. And to him, $1,000 was the world. And to us, we're already paying this much for a property. No, we don't normally adjust our prices, but if we go to court with this guy, start fighting it out, and we're gonna spend that money in the first 10 minutes. So let's give him $1,000 and let's move on. But to that seller, $1,000 was a difference between deal or no deal. $1,000. We were set to make like a $60,000 wholesale fee on this property. What's $1,000? So that's why it is so important to build rapport with people and make sure that that customer sees they can talk to you, they care about you. It's never gonna fully make people not ignore you, because it will happen, but you gotta get really creative on getting in touch with people. We use every call rail number we have to try to call people if they're ignoring us. And a lot of times they're ignoring us, but they still want to talk. If we catch them on a different number, they're like, oh, hey, oh, sorry, hey, my other phone number, my battery's dead, so I figured I'd call you from this one. Where are we at here? You ready to move forward? Oh, I really need more money. Oh, okay, great. How much you need? Oh, $2,000? Perfect. Let's lock it up. And to people, they think $1,000 is so much. If they're struggling and they don't have $1,000 in their bank account, $1,000 to them is the world. But if we're already spending $400,000 on a house, what's another $1,000 at that point, right? So we never know the seller's situation, and we should never guess what is going on in that seller's life. But this follow-up, like we're talking about, and getting these deals on follow-up, this happens through building rapport with these sellers. You build rapport, you lock these people up in a contract, and we make some money, right? That's really it. People look at it like it's so complicated, but it's really not as complicated as it sounds. So,
I agree.
So I'm sure we're running out of time here. So let's end this with any type of advice you have for anybody right now. Anybody that is looking at, where are we? November 2020 right now. We've gotten through basically the plague, COVID over here. We got a president transition. We got, presidents fighting who's winning, who's not winning. We have potentially a change in January. Everyone says the market's gonna crash. We got basically UFOs coming out of everywhere, right? So with everything going on right now, if there's someone out there that is saying, man, I don't know if this is a good time to do this, and with this market, with this presidency, with COVID, I don't even know how to start. What are you gonna tell these people?
Oh, there's so many ways I can go with this. Right now, just make sure your house is in order. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. The market's on fire right now. Nobody out there knows what's going to happen. Everything is a guess. It's an educated guess at best. And because the typical predictability in economics just isn't there fundamentally. We don't know if there's going to be another lockdown. If there isn't a lockdown, how long does it last? We don't know what the stimulus is going to be, what they're going to do, with interest rates. Like, so many variables. You got to stop listening to all the noise and just make sure your house is in order and you're running a good business. That's my first piece of advice. Hopefully you're cool with this. We have a summit. I don't know when this is going to air, but we have our Flip Talk Virtual Summit in December. If they go to fliptalkvirtualsummit.com, they can check that out. We're actually going to go through all the things that we're doing to shore our business up and be prepared to really capitalize on 2021. So there's an opportunity there to check out what we have going on there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I would say that the best piece of advice I can give is not take anything for granted. Don't take anything for granted. Don't think that this is never going to end, whether you're in a bad situation or good situation. Situations constantly change. and just run a good business. Whether you're just starting out or you've been in it for 10 years, run a good business. Nothing beats having a good business, having a good foundation, and having the proper things in place in your organization built right the right way that'll keep you around for a long time.
So fliptalkvirtualsummit.com. I'll have Cody throw a link there as well. So that way if anyone wants to click on that, go check it out. That'd be cool. I guess the last question I got for you, I mean, you got a little salt and pepper going on here. Was that just since you met me, or has that been happening?
It's been happening. I can't blame you for any of it. But no. Actually, no. My relationship with you has been good, man. It's been a joy. I love networking with you and learning from you. And you are. I'm kind of reserved now. I went through a major loss, so I am an entrepreneur that will build the airplane on the way down. Like I'll jump off the cliff and build the airplane on the way down. But I still have reservations and concerns. You still got that that Spitfire in you. It's like you tell me I can't do it, and I'm going to prove that I can. And that is ingrained in me to a large degree. And I think that's the reason why we connect. Cause it's like, the second you tell me no, it's like, man, I am walking through that wall. And that's one of the things I respect about you is you'll prove people wrong. And when you're not right, you'll admit it. And you're just a cool, humble dude. Great business.
And I know exactly what you're talking about too, because this literally just happened in our mastermind last week where I got like 3 people at me. This isn't going to work. Tell me that again, and I'm going to show you it's going to work. Or and I literally said afterwards, or I will come to the next meeting and I will be the first to admit that I screwed up. But I am confident it's going to work, so I am going to go out there now, and you, I'm going to prove you all wrong.
Right.
But that's a blessing and a curse too, though, because I look at it and say that, yes, I want to do it, and I've already thought about it ahead of time and made my mind up. However, on the other side, now I want to do it even more, that sometimes that can almost become reckless, right? Because now I'm out to prove something, but it's okay to want to be right. It's okay to want to prove yourself, but do it because you think it's a good idea, not because you want to prove somebody else wrong.
100%. And you got some really good advice from good people. I'm probably in the middle of that advice, as far as that goes. But I think at the end of the day, having that right circle, that goes back to having the right community around you. You've made a decision, you've thought it out, you're ready to move forward. Now you've gotten great advice from people that you respect and trust. So at least you'll see, are the landmines they say are going to happen, are those going to produce themselves and show themselves to me? And if they do, then maybe I need to change course. And if they don't, then maybe I am proving myself right and I'm on the right road here to success in whatever it is I'm doing. And that's the fundamental part about having the right people around you, because that great advice allows you to kind of keep your eyes open a little more through the process. And maybe you should ditch it earlier than you might have had you been on your own.
Yeah, that's actually very well said. So, like I said, that's what a mastermind brings. Literally everything at the top of my head. It's Monday. I want to get out there and win what they said I wouldn't win. So I got a lot to do. I got a busy day ahead of me. I got to do this all today. So, dude, I appreciate you joining us. How can people find you if they want to find you?
So fliptalk.com. I have the Flip Talk podcast. It's on just about every channel out there. I'd love more follows at the real Don Costa on Instagram. I've been putting out content everywhere, for 4 years. You can find me anywhere. You can also email me at don@fliptalk.com. I do respond to people's questions. If you're interested in the mastermind, you can email me, or you can go to beinthisroom.com and check it out. And like I said, we have some other stuff that we have going on as well with the Flip Talk Virtual Summit. And ultimately, at the end of the day, any questions you have, just email me.
Oh, I meant more your home address, your social security number, stuff like that. But
yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you being here. I hope this helped everybody out. This is, like I said, Don is a good friend of mine, and I didn't want to do a standard podcast. I want to do something where we're just digging into more of who this bald guy is on the screen. And you guys, he's a good guy to follow. So I really highly recommend following him, checking out his podcast. If you're ready, check out his mastermind, check out his summit. He has so much stuff coming for you guys. Like, I mean, geez, I'm sitting here like, I want to go to these things. You guys got to check this stuff out. Get yourself to that next level. Be around people that will help you get to that next level. And that's not always those flashy people with the Lamborghinis, right? It could be people doing less business than you that just have one thing they're doing that can help you make your business better. And that's the beauty of a mastermind. It doesn't matter whether you're doing 3 deals or 10 deals or 100 deals. I have literally gone in coaching in a mastermind and had a student that just did his first deal that just made me go, wow, wait, how did you get that? And I implemented it in my business and made a ton of money. So don't ever think that you can't learn from somebody doing less than you. You just want to be around people striving to be better. So,
100%.
hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm Scott Oots. Thanks for coming, Don, and we'll talk to you guys later.